Vice did this article that went really viral. Like, we've all failed Amber Heard, right?
Yeah.
And it's just interesting how they looked at the whole thing, because their whole business is like, this is bad for abuse victims or whatever, right? But like, they're like, people aren't going to come forward because people are being mad at Amber Heard. And it's like, not once in the whole article did they mention like, well, what if she lied? Like, it's like they do not care.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
You go, the whole thing was, it's a court of law. All of the information is like kind of out there now, and a jury of peers, and like there's never been a more publicized thing. It's like these people that have like a, tried in the court of a public opinion. There's nothing that they hate more than like a televised trial where all the information gets out.
For sure. And I mean, again, you're like, yeah, he's the more famous guy and he has more fans, and yeah, she's going to get. She's she's the girl bump, and she was getting the girl bump up into this point. I mean, this is why what he's saying is true. He got kicked off Pirates of the Caribbean, like all this stuff. Yeah, I mean, that's why he had to do this.
Right.
This is probably like this was kind of the
huge win for Johnny Depp.
I wonder that. I honestly, I see this and they go, okay, Johnny Depp won. And you're like, so people are going to be like, all right, Johnny, let's hire Johnny Depp again.
Maybe, I don't know. But at least they're at least this, I mean, you're right. It's not like a court of law. It's a different type of court, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, still, I don't think there's any criminal proceedings that can happen, but I'm just saying like, sometimes you go, okay, he was vindicated, like John Gomeshi, right? John Gomeshi's, okay, you're innocent. Can I have my job back? And they're like, no, no, you cannot have your job back.
No, you cannot. I don't know. Johnny Depp's a big movie.
He's like, can I do a podcast? They're like, no.
I think at the very least it's murky enough where Johnny Depp could be back in the mainstream.
Yeah.
But
he still probably has to sit out a bit.
He was already still making some movies. He just didn't get to be a pirate anymore.
Yeah. I didn't even know that he had been kicked off.
Well, as Johnny Depp and Amber Heard defamation case plays out in Virginia court, this is what they said. A separate trial was happening online where the verdict skews heavily towards Depp being the real victim. But it's like one thing these people aren't realizing, in a culture where that's generally not the case. Like, I guess they would argue, actually, everyone always takes the men's side, but it's like, if you think in the last 4 years, if a girl and a guy were like arguing over domestic stuff, like the instinct is to take the guy's side. Yeah. Like, what are you?
In a domestic violence thing?
Yeah, what are you? Of course not. That's just not the case, but it's like they think that, right? For weeks, memes were calling her a liar and a psychopath and manipulator. It's like, she got busted lying a bunch of times on the stand. Like, what are you talking about? They make fun of her hair, outfits, and facial expressions, and at times even wish her dead. And you go, yeah, and her fans probably do that to him. And way worse to like other people yes, this is what happens on the internet.
Yeah, and their whole thing is they're like, oh, it's unfair. He has more fans.
Dude, I've gotten plenty of like death threats, I hope you die, and comments like that. It's just like,
yeah, I know. I sent them.
Yeah.
Those are my burners.
Yeah, the burners. On TikTok alone, Justice for Johnny hashtag has been viewed 16.3 billion times. It's almost like they're kind of now being forced to make the argument. Like, I don't really like the idea that people are deciding things publicly. It should be up to the courts. You know what I mean? Like, well, everyone's jumping to their own conclusions when, if anything, you should let the courts make their decision.
Can we get the side by side of this and fucking Kyle Rittenhouse?
Yeah. Are we back to the basics where you go, we don't want people to make their opinions beforehand?
Yeah, Vice just goes with the wind.
Yeah, and also, this is not, it's like, he's being accused of something, and then the information's getting out. So they said, compared to 53.6 million for Justice for Amber Heard, which isn't as many. It's like people are watching the trial, and
they're making up their mind.
Guilty, which is a lot better. To be honest, there's a big difference between she posted on one article and he posted on one article, and there's no rebuttal, and everyone makes up their mind. At least most people making up their mind have watched hours of footage.
Yeah, 20 hours of a trial.
Yeah, it's like this is the most people are actually kind of doing a deep dive into something.
I mean, if the OJ trial was going on right now and there was TikTok, there'd be a fucking Justice for OJ hashtag that had way less.
Of course, yeah. Today, maybe who knows about that? A lot of people were on board with OJ.
But I think Justice for Nicole would be the one that had the more more hashtags.
In these racially charged times, I don't know, my friend. Today, the judgment in our group chats at the bar, and may even come up at dinner, that people, even if she wins at court, some people are going to think she's still guilty. And it's like, well, she didn't really win in court. And second of all, he's like, even if she wins in court, people might think that. You go, you saying that's a problem?
Yeah.
Are you saying to me?
What do you think about Brett Kavanaugh? What are your opinions on Brett Kavanaugh? Is he a rapist?
Are you telling me that you think there might be some sort of a problem with winning in court and public not believing that? That is some wild stuff right there. At least some of the pro Johnny content comes from right wing sources like Ben Shapiro. So they said even some of the people. That's funny. It's like they said how many hashtags? 16.3 billion times people shared it. One of them was Ben Shapiro.
Therefore,
that's her argument.
All wrong.
That's her point. Yeah, she goes, 16 billion people have shared this hashtag, including Ben Shapiro of the Daily Wire. That's what they said.
I'm officially pro Amber Heard.
Oh yeah, I think that's
Justice-
the worst
justice
article
for
ever.
Amber.
Yeah. And be like, okay, well, look at there's this guy that's in the KKK that thought Amber Heard's fucking innocent because she hates Johnny Depp because he's a race mixer. Oh God! Several gender-based justice advocates have told Vice News that Heard should be believed. So,
I mean, I will say this.
That's what they think. Obviously,
fucking I don't know. Does Amber Heard have social media? I imagine she does.
I think so. Probably.
If you're the type of person who's DMing Amber Heard to be like, "Fuck you," I'm
You're a
Team Johnny Depp.
psychopath.
Yeah, you're mental.
Yeah.
That's a crazy.
Anyone
thing to
who's
do.
sending anyone DMs on any of that sort of nonsense.
Yeah, because
is
you're
a
just like
fucking
you took a
psychopath.
side of something that has nothing to do with you. You're just like, I saw the first.
Stans get Stanny though.
I guess.
Especially to those big movie stars, man. Like, it's real. I told you, I felt it when I was making fun of Will Smith. Out of everything I've done, that was always the most aggressive, where I legitimately open my inbox and it's 300 people being like, you're a fucking piece if I ever see you in public, buddy.
Talking shit about Will Smith.
Yeah.
I guess.
I'm sure Amber Heard has a ton of people that are like that. So, but yeah, she goes, this is how they try to say it. They go, Ben Shapiro thought that Heard might be guilty, whereas the justice advocates said that Heard should be believed. And you go, okay, well, what about your average normal person that's having these conversations in a diner like you said? And they go, it's probably being influenced by Ben Shapiro. It's like, well, why is no one being influenced by your justice advocate activists?
Well, they're supposed to be influenced. That's the whole point of it.
They're being influenced by the wrong one.
If anything, people aren't being influenced enough.
Yeah, there's an old saying that's like, most people's principles, at some point, they'll always think the ends justify the means. Like, the truth is, most people have any sort of principles, and then at some point, they'll go, yeah, but in this case, it end justifies the means, and everyone kind of has that point somewhere, for the most part. Maybe there's some people that don't, but it just matters where. These people have no principles. Like, at least I think most people that when you're kind of saying like, I normally think this, but the same reason why you see a lot of like right-wing people sort of grapple with what to do about censorship online and how the government should be involved. There's some ones that aren't necessarily conservative, more like liberty, more whatever, right? They at least like are kind of having those conversations in their mind about like, yeah, I know this seems to go against kind of what I think, but maybe they try to at least
they're trying to have a nuance.
Well, they want their brain to make sense, right? Most people like want their brain to make sense. Like, this person has no problem writing 8,000 articles where it's like, we don't need the courts to decide. And then like writing an article being like, actually, we should wait for the courts to, like, that seems like they grapple with it. You know what I mean? Like, if I feel like
it's their systems.
Exactly.
They go, yeah, that was fucking Jeff who thinks that. Me, Mark, I don't think that. And that's who you're talking to right now.
Yeah, you're talking
my alters.
Yeah, you're right. Jeffrey did say that. Heard's case has the potential to shape how young people understand sexual and domestic violence. In this, I guess, in the sense that if you just like publicly defame people and the evidence doesn't make sense, that they can take you to court.
Yeah.
I mean
that's
it might have.
rules against
It might shape like defamation claims to some degree, but this isn't like he's not under trial for domestic violence right now.
No, he's not under trial, and there's no.
She's on trial.
Well, it's a civil trial, and I mean, she sued him first, from the sounds of it, and then, or did he sue her first? I don't know.
No, this is his defamation trial. She countersued.
Oh, she countersued. Oh, okay, and it's because she wrote this thing. But yeah, I mean, again, he's trying to rehabilitate his persona, which is his livelihood.
Yeah, but
this is all just kind of around that.
But the moral of the story is their argument don't make sense because they go, Heard's case has the potential to shape how young people understand domestic violence. 1/3 of TikTok users are between 10 and 19, and more than half are women. So they'll undoubtedly see this content, blah, blah. But it's like none of these arguments have anything to do with whether it's right or wrong. I mean, you could make the argument very easily that, okay, we're going to lock up people that are suspected terrorists. And you could very easily make that argument. Yeah, but I mean, obviously if we stop a few, then that's good. Or it's like, criminals, we didn't give him a fair trial, but like, this guy was innocent, but the police planted evidence on him, but he has a history anyway, so it's probably safer. Like as soon as you're making an argument where enforce crime based on...
Yeah, it's the giving up freedom for safety thing.
Yeah, and it's like, you don't understand that now you're... Like, I'm sure that these people are all for, like, bail reform and all that stuff, right? You're essentially making an argument that people should be convicted before innocence.
Yeah.
And you're just like, well, what about, like, a gang member? Should they? No. But like an actor that was accused of punching should be. Okay, what about a gang leader that punched his wife? Should he be guilty before innocent? Brain explodes.
Yeah, depends what his race is.
Yeah.
I mean, the moral, if there's one real takeaway from this whole thing is for guys, it is not a trivial thing which woman you wind up with. You pick the wrong one.
Pick the right wife.
Yikes, if you picked the wrong one. That was, I remember.
Yeah, you had that weird thing where you picked a guy by accident.
Yeah, whoops. I mean, sometimes blind taste tests, you get fooled, But that was like Artie Lang said on some podcast. His dad was like, to Artie Lang, he's like, it's the number one thing. It's just, you got to pick the right broad.
Yeah.
And this is a good...
Do you think that you could do a taste test? I was arguing that I could if I had blindfolded 10 cans where it was Coke, Diet Coke, Pepsi, Diet Pepsi, Coke Zero, regular Coke. Yeah, all those six that I could tell. I could tell with the taste.
Yeah.
As long as it's in a can, no straw, no bottle. Once you start putting them in bottles and stuff like that, it has to.
Well, no, it has to be like in a cup or something.
No, I need it in a can. As soon as you put it in a cup, I would lose my powers.
You need it in a can. Okay.
If you drink a can of Diet Coke and you put it in like a cup, it changes it a little bit.
Okay. I mean, that's fine as long as it's consistent.
They have to be in cans.
Yeah.
But I think I could do it. Do you think you could?
I mean, we're going to do it on this podcast, so.
Yeah. I mean, that's not the best content, I don't think.
Maybe for the Patreon.
Yeah, that's not really that would turn this channel into like a blind taste test channel. That's a little wacky.
Yeah. I mean, because
that's a little YouTubey.
Pepsi's way sweeter, so the super sweet one's Pepsi.
Thank you for watching that clip, supporting the channel. If you like The Boyscast, there's a new episode every week at patreon.com/TheBoyscast.
That's patreon.com/TheBoyscast.